Hello and welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I am Coach Ashley. We're so excited to have you here today. We do this every Thursday live on Zoom. You can join us at attractwell.com/office hours to get onto one of these future calls. As you're coming in, let us know where you're coming in from, what kind of business you have. Always excited to hear more about you and what you do. Today, we're going to be talking about creating irresistible offers for your business. So I'm thrilled personally to be back here with you this week. I was out traveling last week, first with family and then with our team. And I hope you guys really enjoyed our guest speaker last week. Really looking forward to getting into the content that I put together for you guys today. Some of it is some oldie but goodie stuff. If you've been around me for any period of time, some of this is going to be really familiar to you, but maybe this is something that will be a refresher or something brand new. Either way, I hope that it serves you and your business today. Like I mentioned at the top of the call today, this is a live call that we offer every week, but we do have replays that you can access if you're on our list, and that's attractwell.com/office hours to sign up for that. You also have opportunities to work together live on these calls. If you'd like to have a review of your work, things that you're working on, or just have general questions, if you're just getting started or considering AttractWell, or maybe even taking a new direction in your business, this is a great opportunity for us to sit down and for you to get some insights into different paths that you might want to take forward, whether that be with tech or something completely unrelated to tech. There's really no sort of wrong answer in terms of what we come up with here on these calls. So as promised, I'm going to go ahead and shut off my video, and we're going to get into recording our slides here that I've put together. And then at the close of the call, if you would like, we can get into some exchange of ideas based on offers that maybe you're putting together or wanting to reframe or refocus in your business. So let me go ahead and make sure that I've got everything set up correctly here. And I'm going to stop my video and share these slides with you guys. Do make sure, just to make sure that we're not losing anything here. If you have a question, please put that in the Q&A, because sometimes it can get lost in the chat. All right, so today we're talking about how to craft an irresistible offer to grow your coaching, consulting, or course business. This could also be for you if you have a wellness practice of some kind, or really any kind of practice. For all of us who serve clients, meaning you may or may not provide a service, but your clients are not just numbers in your business. You got humans that you're serving actively. We're going to talk about how you can craft offers as the main way that you work with those clients, or even as a new thing that you can use to increase revenue and diversify what it is that you're doing in your business. So what we're going to do today is talk about how to speak your ideal client's language so you can craft offers that they want to buy easily. And then we'll have live strategy discussion and help in Q&A if you guys need it. So I do see that we've got some comments here in the chat about your business, but for those of you who maybe watch this in the replay, make sure you leave a comment on our YouTube channel here where we can learn more about what you do. And of course, add those questions to the Q&A if you're here live. And if you want to work together live on one of these calls in the future, you want to set aside dedicated time where maybe I can look at some of what you're working on ahead of time, give you specific advice, and we can even dig into your AttractWell account and make things together. You can go to attractwell.com/work review to get a dedicated spot. This is totally free, and you can be at any stage in your development process for us to do this. All right, and just, as a reminder, I've already mentioned this a couple of times, do make sure you're on this list so you know about all the trainings that are coming up. All right, so tell me, for those of us who are here, what do you sell? What is your offer? Maybe you have several. What does that look like for you? Let's go ahead and put that in the chat, because I would really like to be able to work with you guys on new ways to frame those things so that they are more effective, so that they convert better. All right, so I already see nutrition coaching, fantastic. All right, so about what you're selling, are you looking to sell more of that thing right now, as if, being on this call at this moment? Is your goal to sell more of that thing, or to create something new, to offer something in addition to that? Awesome, we've got several coaches here on the call today. All right, so what we're going to talk about today could apply to you regardless of, which of these two things. Just trying to start a little conversation here, looking for, ideas that we can start hashing out later on in the call. Here's another question to consider, to maybe ask yourself, or you can, of course, answer here if you'd like. How well do you feel like your current offer converts into new sales? So when you share what it is that you do, nutrition coaching, life transition coaching, when you offer that, how often does that turn into a new client? Or, and I mean, this question, maybe we don't ask ourselves this enough. How often are you actually making the offer? Right? Because if the offer is the thing that monetizes your business, the numbers that we want to look at are how many times are we making the offer? And how many times of those times we're making the offer are people saying yes, right? To measure the effectiveness, right? We want to create an irresistible offer because we want to have a reliable thing that sells, right? So we want to make sure that we know our numbers, right? How many times are we making this offer? And of course, of the times we make that offer, how often does that actually become a new sale? Now, Melissa, where you make the new offer is a question here in the chat. Where you make the offer is going to depend pretty widely, and we can get into some granular detail on your specific offer at the close of the call here today for sure. Making the offer, what I'm really getting at here is probably going to be most applicable for high ticket coaching. However, in a broad sense, what I'm teaching today, you're going to want to have this in your back pocket if you're doing sales pages too, because this really is how you drill into a well for your copywriting. And of course, if you're going to be using sales pages and the like, and putting this kind of an offer inside of a funnel, it's going to be even more important that you have this language dialed in. So to start, if you're brand new at making and selling things, right, whether that's your own services or or something that's leveraged, right, like a course or a program, you're going to want to start with the manual work first, right? So actually making the offer verbally on a Zoom call, on a phone call, on an appointment with a prospective client, and closing them on the deal. You're going to have so much more insight into what actually works for you and can scale for your business big picture if you've been able to do it on a small scale, right? Scale is actually starting from a small thing and making it bigger, right? A lot of us think we need to just go straight into the big thing, but we go in blind if we don't actually know how the thing we've put together works, right? So anyway, tangent. All right. So first, before we get into this, let's talk about why some even great offers don't convert or don't convert well. Okay. The first is, there's really only a couple of reasons. The first is maybe it doesn't solve a specific need or a problem that someone's looking to solve. What this can often be, especially where we're just getting started with creating offers and coaching and things like this, is that we either out of a fear of perhaps not having enough people to share with, or just generally speaking, being new to what we're doing, we go wide in what we do and what we offer. It is, it's wide and more shallow, right? Where we're trying to not leave anyone out, right? We're not going to get too far into sort of niching down into, your sort of perfect client today. That's not really a topic of this call, but this is adjacent to that. If you aren't really clear on the individual, not the target market, not the avatar in the more traditional demographic sense. If you aren't super clear on who your person is in a qualitative way and what they really want in their words, we're not really going to be able to show up and provide them with words that are going to connect with them at all. Even if what you have could solve all of their biggest problems, they're not going to understand you. You're speaking a different language, right? So we do need to make sure that we aren't going too wide in what we're offering, and that what we're offering is something that they truly feel is something that's tailored to them. And this is the most important part, when the offer that you're making is shared from the language of your expertise, they're not going to get it, right? What they need is to hear their own vocabulary coming from you, right? They need to hear you understanding them because you use their words, you use their phrases, their language. You talk about their problems in the same way they do. Does that make sense? That is the number one thing. And we're going to talk about how we can shift the way we talk about what we do today so that any offer that you make can be irresistible. Mark, I think what you're talking about here, what if they're not just one, if there are individuals, like if you maybe have more than one customer avatar, perhaps. Yeah, so in that case, it kind of depends, and we can get into this later on the call today for sure. But it's going to depend on what your actual offer is. Sometimes where you have a very clear, separate set of problems that you solve for different types of people, sometimes it makes sense to perhaps have the same offer, but you are putting it out there in a different way to different groups. Right. And you can sell the same thing to different people if it is truly designed to help those two different people solve their problems. It's just the way that you introduce this to them are going to be fundamentally different. And yeah, and we can kind of get into that as well. And if you're using AttractWell, what that can mean and can make this really interesting for you is you could have two different funnels that sell the same product. Right? You could have landing pages that focus on a certain problem to attract certain kinds of leads. And then you could have two completely different sales pages for the same product that just, you know, takes the same product and shifts around and looks at it from a different perspective. Right? So I don't want to get too far into that, but just to kind of give you some ideas there. All right. Now, the problem with our offers not converting really 9 times out of 10 is in how we share the value of what we offer. It's not that we don't have something good enough to help them. We do. It's that they don't get us. They don't understand us because we aren't demonstrating that we get them. Okay. So how many of you guys have heard, maybe just, you know, show of hands, have you ever heard of the Golden Circle? This is a talk that Simon Sinek gave, I don't know, probably 12 years ago. He actually wrote a book called Start With Why. If you've never read that book, highly, 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 highly recommend you check out that book and really anything that he's written. He's a fantastic author. So in the Golden Circle talk, and you should look this up, it's a TED talk from like 12 years ago. There's like a 5 to 9 minute section of the video that's got millions of views. You should definitely watch it. But what he talks about is how we naturally, logically tend to communicate, right? We tend to communicate from what we observe first, right? From the shallow outer layer moving in, right? We see what we see, we talk about what we see. Then we talk about how we perceive it, and then we talk about how we really feel about it, right? That's the natural progression of how we just perceive things in the world and how we interact with each other. Now, this is great if you're just having casual conversation, but if you're being intentional and you're wanting to have, you know, something effective happen here, you're wanting to help influence the way someone is thinking, how they might choose to make a decision that could cause them to pull out their wallet and say, yes, I want to work with you, right? We have to be mindful and intentional about the way we communicate, and we've got to flip it, right? So we got to stop going from the most obvious to the least obvious. So here's what we typically do. It's our logical progression, typically with how we talk about what we do as coaches, consultants, practitioners, healers, and so on. So we all know what we do. And it's easy to talk about what we do because it's the stuff of our life. It's the thing you wake up and do every day. It's the stuff you went to school or certifications for, right? So I'm a life coach. I offer health coaching. I teach yoga classes. I'm a business consultant, a wellness consultant. I sell network marketing products. I am a virtual assistant. I have coaching programs. We know the stuff of what we do, right? And we also know how we do what we do, right? We have our certified methods, our proprietary processes, our protocols, formulas, systems, all of the things that take the stuff of what we do and organize it into a way that we get things done, right? We all know these things. This is obvious from the most obvious, right, of the what. And now, obviously, if we're here today, everybody here today knows the how. But the problem is that the person that you're communicating with does not care about these two things if they haven't connected with the why first, if they haven't started with the center. If they don't know why you do what you do, they don't care how you do it, right? They don't care what the stuff is that makes it up if the why doesn't matter to them, right? So thinking back, and I've actually taught this a bajillion times on this and our other platform, mostly on our other platform, where I'm talking about personal branding and things like this. Apple is one of the most iconic brands in the world, right? I don't know. Does anybody here have Apple products? And if you have Apple products, do you have all of them? Are all of your products Apple products? So they're one of the most effective marketing entities ever in the history of marketing ever, period. And the reason why they were in the first place and why so many businesses and brands have sought to repeat their success is because they understood something before the rest of us did, right? And I'll get to that here in just a second. But if Apple did things the way most of us do, right, from that in like outside in, this is what they'd sound like. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Wanna buy one? It's not very compelling, right? All of these things are true. They're true about Apple. And you could take the same thing and say, you know, I am a health coach. I help people change their diet by, you know, eliminating gluten and dairy and supplementing and da, 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 da. Want to get started? Not compelling, right? Right? So this is how Apple actually communicates and why they're so effective. First, they start with why. In everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Wanna buy one? Do you see, we're using the same information. We're just putting it in a different order and connecting with the why first. The facts of what you do stay the same. The way we communicate those facts, in what order and how we communicate them, makes every bit of difference in the world. So sometimes it just takes the shift in the order of what you're sharing to make a massive impact on how the value of what you do is perceived. This is how you move from wishing you could raise your rates to having people wonder why you are charging as little as you do, right? And from people hemming and hawing and thinking, no, maybe not, to saying, yes, obviously, this is what I want. Of course, I want to work with you. You get me. I want to buy from you. You get me, right? So that's effective sharing, right? Now, let's discuss the language that converts any offer and the framework to make yours irresistible, all right? So the anatomy of an offer, it's just a handful of pieces of this. And these are going to be, these are keywords that you may see other folks who talk about similar topics as I do use. It may be a new spin on things you've seen before. This might be a great opportunity to take notes because if you follow my training, these are things you're going to be hearing more of. So it might be helpful for you to catch this. So there's the problem, of course. You can't make an offer that doesn't solve a problem. Nobody's going to buy it, right? We buy things because they solve problems for us. Then currencies. Now, I'm not talking about, you know, euro versus dollar versus ruble, right? No, currencies. And we'll get to all these definitions here in just a second. Journey, transformation, and investment. These are the elements of an offer that converts. All right, so make sure you write those down. Now, the problem, what the problem is what they really, really, really want that they don't know how to get yet. This is a big thing. Think about this as a $1,000 problem, maybe a $10,000 problem. Kind of depends on who you want to be working with and how you want to be pricing yourself where that's concerned. Don't get too caught up in the what it's worth here. That's more of a, honestly, what you charge is actually kind of a very small factor for, you know, whether or not people will actually choose to buy from you. People will buy from you at the price you say it's worth if you really are connecting and getting all of these pieces right. All right, now this is their pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. We are helping them to see themselves in a transformed state. We're not selling them what you do or how you do it. We're selling them a new version of themselves, a version of themselves that they want to be. This is their, you know, their Oz. This is where they're going. And they would pay $1,000 or more to solve this problem right now. And guys, if we aren't really, really clear on what the big problem is that you solve, then they're not going to be really clear on whether they want to buy. So this is the number one most important thing you got to figure out. What is the problem that you want to help them solve that they can't solve on their own? I mean, they could if they sat and they watched hundreds of hours of YouTube videos and tried to figure this out themselves, right? That's part of why they're going to choose to work with you, is because They're tired of trying to figure it out themselves, right? Motivated people have already tried something. Always keep that in mind. And then importantly, the problem must be in their words, their vocabulary, not how you talk about the problem, how they talk about the problem, okay? Now, currencies, what currencies are basically things they want more or less of. You can think about currencies like actual money, right? That you can purchase things with, you could trade for things. But what currencies really are, they're the things that are most important to your ideal person. It's most important for them to get more of it, or it's most important for them to get less of it. Some examples might be a currency that would be in sort of the downward currency column would maybe be losing weight, right? They want less weight. Maybe they want lowered inflammation. Maybe they want lowered stress. On the flip side, maybe they want more confidence or more free time or more energy. Currency are these things: energy, weight, right? Self-confidence, things like this. Now, sometimes these are quantifiable things, more truly quantifiable things. So getting you down to a 4-hour work week, right? So only working 4 hours a week. So if time is a currency, time and money are almost always going to be a currency for people. Just FYI, if you want to write that down, time and money are going to be high currencies for most people. But in the case of time being a currency, maybe they want to work less, right? So you could have a deliverable that is, I can get you to a 4-hour work week, right? Or if let's just say maybe weight is a currency, we can help them to lose 20 pounds in 90 days, right? It doesn't have to be quantifiable specifically, but it is something if you want to be using things like sales pages and campaigns and basically remove yourself from the manual process of making a pitch and selling something, you are going to benefit from having something that feels quantifiable somewhere, because we are eventually going to give them a quantity of money that they must pay us. And the closer we can get to showing them what a quantity of change can look like for them in terms of after their investment in working with you, the easier that offer is going to convert for you. All right. So this is what they're trying to figure out how to do right now. Currencies are also things they're Googling, right? These are your keywords as well. So if you've been doing keyword research for blogging and things like this, the keywords that your person is searching for, those are usually currencies. Currencies are obstacles they face right now. It's goals, near-term goals they have right now. And of course, those things are things they're trying to actively figure out. Think about this. Let me go back here before I can go too far ahead. Your problem is going to be the thing on the horizon that they really, really want, right? The currencies are going to be the things that are sort of the milestones that they need to figure out along the way to get to that place on the horizon. Does that make sense? We're following the yellow brick road, right? We find the yellow brick road when we solve this, or we get to the end of the yellow brick road. We're in the land of Oz when we solve this problem, right? But the currencies are where we meet everyone along the way. We learn the lessons we need to learn. We make the changes we need to make, right? Does that make sense? All right, now going back to yellow brick road here, the journey is the next piece of the anatomy of your offer that converts. So we have to be able to share with somebody what it's going to be like for them to go through this process. And the more money you're going to ask them to put on the table, the more clear you need to be about this journey for them, right? So we need to have a clear beginning and an end. And the beginning is literally where they are now, the problems they're facing now, the struggles that they're dealing with right now. And the end is you're on the horizon there. You're in the land of Oz. You've got the problem solved. You're in the beautiful place where you want to be. Along the way, we solve those currency problems that they're actively trying to resolve right now. Do you see how we've got a big problem, but then we've got little baby problems, right? They are just deluged with these baby problems every single day, and they're dealing with those things all the time, and they know that those things stand in the way of getting the big thing that they really want. Your offer needs to give them the thing that they really want, right? And then show them how you're connecting the solving of those smaller problems in the process. So it does really help to really break down what it is that you do in their language. In an outline format is how I recommend doing this. And if you have our pipeline igniter, I actually walk through how to do that. It's a course that's I can get you guys a link to it, but that's what the journey looks like. And then of course those milestones, like I mentioned, they solve or achieve the currencies that are important to them on the way to getting the big picture solved. Okay, now let's talk about transformation. This is really where copywriting magic happens. This is where we get from point A to point B, point A to point Z, and so on. So the journey takes them from A to Z. We're solving the problem. The journey is the map of the whole offer, right? But we need to be able to get from A to C, C to E, and so on. So we need to be able to talk about how things are shifting and changing, right? How we're going to go from this place that you don't love right now to this place that you know you'd rather be. And then this next place you'd rather be. And these are all points on a map that move them toward that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that you're leading them to, which is why they buy, right? This is such a critical step. This is where you build value into your price. This is how you can price confidently at what you want to be paid and not blink an eye when you make an offer, and they will be thrilled to pay what you're worth because they can actually see what this will do for them. And they'll see themselves in the future making those transformations. Because remember, people make purchases based on emotional decisions, and we buy things that allow us to see ourselves in a place where we'd rather be. All right. So now let's talk about the investment. What would it cost them to keep figuring this out on their own? What does it cost them in gas to spin themselves around on a map if the GPS isn't working? My gosh, especially right now with the price of gas. So what would it cost them to keep figuring this out on their own? What'll happen if they don't solve this problem now? What are the other problems, the ripple effects that are taking place in their life or in their business, in their health, whatever it is that you help them with? What's going to happen if they don't figure this out? And remember, buying is an emotional decision. We really do need to connect on emotion for people to really understand and feel that they're ready to move forward. This is especially important if you're offering coaching and things that require real deep work and transformation working alongside you. You got an emotional connection with your clients, right? Well, even if what you're doing is purely analytical, they're making that decision because of something emotional. And we got to tap into that if we want to make sure that we're going to be effective in communicating what it is that they're going to get out of this so that they're excited to buy. So let's see an example real quick. All right. So Jane is a professional mom. She's got a wellness practice and a home life. She's got some kids. She does see a few clients a week, but her schedule's not full. And she deals with feast or famine in terms of her income from her practice. Now, she loves what she does, but she's struggling. She feels like she's lost something in herself, in her life. She's tired all the time. She's always stressed out, and it's putting a strain on her relationships at home. Now, she knows how to grow her business, but she's having a hard time finding the time and energy to do all the things that need doing. Because she signed up to go to school and become a wellness practitioner so that she could help patients, help clients, not so that she could learn how to be a marketer and have a website and do all of the 50 million things you have to do to have a business. Okay. Can anybody relate to Jane's struggle? All right. So Jane's problem is that she wants a work-life balance without sacrificing the growth of her business. Her words. She recognizes that her work and life are out of balance. She feels overworked. She feels stressed out. She sees what this is doing to her life, right? But she also knows that she wants her business to succeed. She wants to have both. She doesn't know how to get them both. And she wants to finally be able to hire staff so that she can focus on growth instead of the day-to-day stuff. Because again, she got into this to be a practitioner, not to be an office manager, right? So she's hit a plateau. I'm not bringing on enough new clients consistently to be able to start outsourcing and paying someone consistently to get the things off my plate that I would never do again if I had the option. All right, is that making sense? So this is her big problem. She is stuck at a plateau where she can't grow further. It's a time for money exchange at this point, and she is just stressed out to the max. Now, I don't know if you're watching this right now, for what you do, you've probably already thought of 3 things that you could help her with, right? To help her get this solved. So in a second, I'm going to show you an example of an offer that could work for this. Now, here are Jane's currencies. She wants better time management because she knows that she's not doing it well. She knows that she's really good with her clients and her patients, but she's just not getting it all done. There's not enough time in the day. And of course, she needs to be present for her family when she goes home, right? When she's done working, she needs to be done. And she doesn't know how to do that. The work's coming home with her. She wants her stress lowered. She can't heal others and facilitate healing if she is in need of healing as much as they are, right? So she wants her lowered stress. She wants more organization. She feels like she has no idea how to do that. And she wants to be profitable enough every month so that she can start outsourcing the things that she doesn't love doing that are taking up the time and stressing her out. So she actually is kind of clear on what she wants. She's motivated. And of course, she wants consistent new business because you can't keep somebody hired if you aren't bringing in enough revenue to keep that person on staff, right? Okay, so her currencies are she needs help, right? She needs more clients so that there's enough money to keep help. And she wants organization, stress management, time management. Okay, now the journey. This is our solution. This is our offer for her. We're going to simplify her daily method of operations because there's a lot of things that she's doing in her business that she's maybe doing inefficiently, right? So we're going to simplify and cut her admin work in half. So you remember where I was talking about quantifying currencies? Cut in half your admin work. That's a quantifiable currency. So 50%, right? Then we're going to establish a system to convert leads to sales. So every time a new lead comes in, it's very clear and simple, the path that they'll follow. She doesn't have to think through 70 different things. It's going to be the same way every time. And it releases her from a lot of the stress that she has because she's keeping it all in her head. Then we're going to deploy a marketing plan to grow those leads that can get into that system and convert to new sales. All right. Now the transformation for Jane is going to be moving from stress struggle bus to savvy, scaled up business. This is our big picture transformation. She's stressed out, struggling with her work every day. Now she is going to be, once we're all done, a savvy, scaled up business. She's going to feel confident in what she's doing every day. And she'll be able to work with 10 times more clients without having to spend as much time as she's even spending now. We're going to go from guesswork as a strategy to confidently crushing your to-dos, right? Do you see how we're going from A to B here? And you could be clever like I'm being clever here. You could also be more simple about it. It's fine. So she's been throwing spaghetti at the wall, wondering what's going to work, what's going to stick, right? And we're going to take her from that because she knows that's what she's doing and put her in a place where she can confidently crush her to-dos every day. She always knows what she needs to do when she shows up to work. She's going to go from being owned by her business to being a business owner with a business that works for her. And then we're going to go from crickets to a full calendar of appointments with clients and leads. And we'll go from unknown to the go-to expert so that those leads keep showing up. All right. Now let's talk about the investment for this offer. Working outside of her zone of genius is costing her. Remember our last slide about investment. What is it costing them to not get this figured out? For her, it's costing her countless growth opportunities because she is getting stuck in the admin stuff and not spending enough time on the right areas of her business to really see growth at scale. Not having this figured out is costing her right now. She could be getting new clients today, but because she is stuck in a loop, in a hamster wheel of things in her business that she doesn't even need to be doing, she's missing out right now. And then of course, there's the old adage, if you've done what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. And is what you've always got good enough for what you came here to do? See, when you're bringing up the investment, you guys, it's not just about the dollar figure. You need to frame the dollar figure, right? And if this has been a conversation, which I highly recommend that this be a sales conversation, right? A call that you have with them. And if you have the client funnel challenge in the final module, I do have my complete blueprint for having calls like this, where you can really ask the right questions so that you can repeat in their words back to them what it is that they need to hear to really be thinking about these questions, right? And then finally, not solving this problem is impacting more than just her bottom line. It's harming her health. It's harming her relationship with her family, right? So the investment isn't just about the dollar figure. It's what is this costing me right now to get it figured out on my own? What will it cost me if I don't get this figured out? And so basically they're asking themselves, what is this worth to me? Okay. So what would you pay for that solution if you were Jane? Feel free to, leave it in the chat or just think on it, right? What would you pay for that solution if you were Jane? You'd probably pay multiple thousands of dollars, right? To be able to work with somebody who could get you from feeling like you are stuck on an everlasting treadmill that you can't get off of, when you can see what it is that you really want to be doing and you want to do it, you just can't get to it. And you see the vision that you want for your business, but you can't quite reach it. And there's somebody that can help take you off of that treadmill and help you put someone on it who wants to be on it, right? To handle the things that you want in your business so that you can do the things that you really got into business to do. Honestly, a lot of that is priceless, right? A lot of what we're really getting at here is that it's priceless to know how to do these things. And that ultimately, when we frame the investment figure, the dollar amount that you want someone to pay you, they're going to see that relative to the pricelessness of those outcomes, right? Does that make sense? All right. So now let's put this in order. Going back to our golden circle, let's talk about how we frame this. All right. We believe the world is a better place when you and your wellness practice are thriving. As a healer, we know your time is best spent doing what you do best, not all the other stuff. So we help healers create smart business systems so they can spend more time with clients without having to worry where the next one comes from. And we make it all doable with simple tech that can be executed in less than 4 hours per week. Want to know more? I think Jane does, right? So now that she's listening, you share the journey and you share the investment. And congratulations on your new client, because she's going to see that these are priceless outcomes, and whatever it is that you want to charge is going to be worth it to her.